Hello everyone, welcome back to the 5 Minute Tech channel. Today we will be talking about adapter pattern, which is a structural pattern in this series of C# design pattern part 3. So let's get started. So the structural pattern comes as a pattern that deals with ways to define relationship between classes and objects. There are different types of structural pattern, and the one which we will be talking about today is the adapter pattern. So the adapter pattern intent is to convert the interface of a class into another interface which client expects. Adapter lets classes work together that could not otherwise because of incompatible interfaces. There are different types of adapter patterns: the object adapter pattern, the class adapter pattern. The difference between the object adapter pattern and the class adapter pattern is basically the object which is saved at the adapter level. You can see here this implementation uses the object composition principle, whereas the class adapter uses the inheritance. The object adapter implements the interface of one object and wraps the another one. It can be implemented in all the languages, whereas the class adapter pattern can only be implemented in programs that support multiple inheritance. Adapter pattern, UML diagram and implementation. So we have client, we have iTarget, adapter and adaptee. So client is a class that contains existing business logic of a program, whereas the iTarget interface target describes a protocol that other classes must follow to be able to collaborate with the client code. Whereas adaptee is a service in some useful classes, usually third party or legacy. The client can't use these library classes because it is of an incompatible interface. So this is coming from an incompatible interface, and the adapter does is to convert whatever is incompatible to a compatible version which can be consumed by the target. So the adapter is a class that able to work with both client and the service. It implements the client interface while wrapping the service object. The adapter receives calls from the client via the client interface and translates them into call to be wrapped service object in the format it can understand. Why to use adapter pattern? Now adapter pattern lets you create a middle layer, as you saw just now. It is sitting in the middle between the client and the service class that serves a translator between the code and the legacy class, a third party class or any other class with a weird interface. Wrapping objects with a missing feature inside the adapter helps us gain the needed functionality dynamically. For this to work, the target class must have a common interface and the adapter field should follow that interface. And to use the adapter pattern, we can use the adapter pattern when you want to use some existing class but its interface isn't compatible with the rest of your code. Or you can use the pattern when you want to reuse several existing subclasses that lack some common functionality that can't be used to a super class. So basically, like adapter you can write and you can utilize that class. Use cases of adapter pattern: it is for integrating with non-compatible third-party library, integrating with a web service, mocking object during the testing, and integrating with logging or monitoring framework. These are some of the use cases of adapter pattern. Now pros and cons of adapter pattern. The pro of adapter pattern is a single responsibility principle and the open close principle. Single responsibility, you can separate the interface or the data conversion code from the primary business logic of the program, whereas in the open close, it implements the open close principle. You can introduce new types of adapter into the program without breaking the existing code. And it does lead to a negative side wherein it increases the complexity of the code because you are writing a new adapter and interface and all those things. So related pattern to adapter pattern, it's bridge. Bridge is usually designed upfront, letting you develop part of an application independently of each other, whereas adapter is commonly when you with an existing application want to make some functionality work with a third party app. Adapter provides a completely different interface for accessing an existing object. On the other hand, with decorator pattern, the interface either stays the same or gets extended. So that is the difference between the adapter and decorator pattern. Whereas adapter, you can access an existing object via different interface. With proxy, the interface stays the same, but you can add additional functionalities to it. A facade defines a new interface for an existing object, whereas adapter tries to make existing interface usable. Similarly, bridge state strategy, which we will be covering in our sessions, have similar. So now we will be getting into a practical scenario demo with an XML to JSON parser as an example. So for example, there is a provider which provides an XML data which needs to be converted into a JSON format to be utilized by another service software which we have to write here. So let's get started with the code. So here I have a simple web API project. In the web API project, I have a normal controller. I have named it as a data controller. I have written an adapter, XML to JSON adapter, whereas I have a simple interface like iXML to JSON adapter. Now the interface just writes a parse method which takes an XML file name, and the implementation of that is in the XML to JSON adapter, which just takes the document file name and then it loads that particular file and then does a conversion. And the controller is somewhere wherein we'll pass the file name, and that file name will be passed on to the interface of iXML to JSON adapter, and that will be passed and returned as a string, as a JSON. So let's. So my web API has loaded. I'll go ahead and try to put in some file name here. So I have already created one XML file. I can show you that. So the XML file is already there in the project, and the project has this XML file wherein I have the data in terms of different product attributes. So let's run this XML file to JSON. So I entered the file name, which is the XML file1.xml, and when I execute it, I should be able to get the proper JSON format. So that was pretty much about the adapter pattern. Hope this video was useful to you. If you like the video, press like to the video and subscribe to the 5-Minute Tech channel.